We're now joined by the Deputy Minister in the Presidency for Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, Dr. Hlengiwe Mkhize. Thanks so much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program. What is your response and that of your department with this continuing violence against women and children?
Well, it reminds us why we reached a point where we said the campaign against gender-based violence and violence against children should be our daily task, 365 days a year. It's painful, it's difficult, but it's a reality we are in, which have led to positions that have been taken by women, especially around issues of holding perpetrators accountable and around sentencing. One accept long-term educational programs as critical and important, but the sketch that we're talking about, it calls for a deeper reflection in terms of what more could send a clear message to perpetrators or those who still intend to commit these crimes. What will stop the madness?
Minister, it's quite sad and disheartening that we seem to keep on having the same conversations around the same issue and violence against women and children in particular. And it's just that it's highlighted even more during this lockdown. Are we failing or struggling to change this behavior?
It's a complex issue. Sometimes, even if you look at statistics, you think, okay, we've taken 20 steps forward, like when we introduced legislation. But what is said is that sometimes you feel as though we're taking 10 steps or more steps backward. That's what is a challenge. During this lockdown, we anticipated the build-up of tensions, anxieties, agitation, and of course, in instances of people who have this drive or edge to dominate women and use power, their power over them, we had this suspicion that there might be incidences where they end up striking a woman. But of course, hence in the discussions all along has been to say, important as it is to pay 100% attention to the coronavirus, as to how we cap the spread of infections and actually mitigate the actual loss of lives. It's important not to take our eyes off GBV. And of course, we have witnessed the recent cases, like a 14-year-old who obviously must have disappeared between a home street and a spaza shop, who disappeared and was found dead, having been sexually assaulted. So it just shows that the aggression, the anger, if it's anger, or quality against vulnerable people is strong in some of the men's minds, and it's the reality we're in, which I think I fully agree that it's almost like we're repeating ourselves on a daily basis, and every woman now they are talking about how to step up, not only awareness, but they're dealing with the criminals. I think that's where most people are.
All right. With this anticipation that you might see a spike in this kind of violence during the lockdown, what interventions did you put in place as a department, perhaps to mitigate this spike?
Well, it's difficult to be in each and every household, but where we had discussions around the shelters with relevant ministries, the police, They are fully aware of the concerns we have, that what has been done successfully is to create a conducive environment for women to report cases and also to follow up, not to create a hostile environment for women to a point where some they decide to drop cases or not go back to the police station. And as far as I know, also our NGO partners have been visiting some of the police stations, especially if they've had a call. So the machinery is in place, and our position has always been the most important thing is to ensure that at least the investigations are taken up quickly and the matters are heard timelessly, because sometimes with the delays, the victims get an impression that, okay, there's no justice for us, we are not important, it has become a norm. And so far we haven't really had cases where people felt the police didn't move in speedily enough. There might be instances here and there, but when at the end of this period, when there's an audit, each and every department will account. That's when we'll be in a best position to really judge that this issue was lost, was not taken seriously, or we could have done better. But as far as we know, each and every executive is on top of the agenda.
Right. Professor Hlengiwe Mkhize, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks so much indeed for joining us and sharing your thoughts on this very important issue this afternoon. That was the Deputy Minister in the Presidency for Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, talking about the increase of violence against women and children during the